This is the new Dacia Spring. It's finally arrived in John Banks showrooms. This now enters the UK market as the most affordable electric car. At £14,995, the Dacia Spring is actually £10,000 cheaper than the next available electric vehicle, which is the BYD Dolphin. Hi guys, I'm Tish and you're watching the John Banks Review YouTube channel. You see, some people would say this isn't a new Spring, this is the second generation. But we never actually received the first generation in the UK. It was sold elsewhere in Europe for around 3 years, and then we begged and begged that they'd bring it to the UK, and finally it's here. And it's had loads of changes for this next generation, which make it better than ever, including some really big expensive car tech like vehicle to load. If you want to find out everything you need to know about the Dacia Spring, then please keep watching. If you like new car content like this, then you're in the right place. Hit the subscribe button. And if you had any questions or queries about the Spring, or if you wanted to register your interest, then you can click the link down below. So first of all, let's start with the really important thing. We know that the price starts at £14,995, but what are the other key stats? Power is not the Spring's aim, that's affordability and efficiency. There are two power outputs, 45 horsepower and 65 horsepower. This may sound slow, but remember, electric power is instant. So at low speeds, the Spring will feel nippy, but at higher speeds, you may need to leave yourself a bit more time. However, regardless of either power output, the Spring gets a very usable range of 140 miles, which is around the same as the first generation Mini Electric. And if you thought the good news stops there, it doesn't, because next up we're going to talk about charging. Like many other rivals, the Dacia Spring can accept AC charging. So this is your standard home wall box. It accepts up to 2.3 kilowatts, and that means you can get a 20 to 80% charge in around 7 hours. However, unlike many small car rivals, it can also accept DC charging or rapid charging. Be it only up to 30 kilowatts, but that means when you're on a road trip with your Dacia Spring, you can plug in and be back on the road in around 45 minutes, so about the time it takes you to have lunch. And that isn't the best thing. The best thing is that this car also comes with a vehicle to load adapter, which you can purchase from Dacia. With this, you plug in and then you can turn your car into a power source, meaning if you're camping, you can plug in a stove, a coffee machine, your camping light, or you can also plug in something like a lawnmower. So if you had those hard to reach places on your property, you can plug into your Dacia Spring and extend your lawnmower that way. How cool is that? That's usually some tech which is only reserved for much larger models. Just like the rest of the range, Dacia want to make the car buying experience as easy as possible with the Spring, and that's why there's just two simple trim levels. You have the Expression and the Extreme. The one behind me is the Extreme model, and it's characterised by the bronze door mirrors and also the larger 15-inch wheels. You can choose between a few different colours. The standard colour is polar white, but you can pay to upgrade to a few metallic options, including this, which is the beautiful stone wash blue. You may have also seen it in the brick red, but it's also available in lightning grey, safari beige and khaki. The interior of the Dacia Spring is by definition cheap and cheerful. As the most affordable electric car on the market by over £10,000, you can't have the highest expectations, but we truly believe that majority of customers will be overwhelmed at just how much equipment you get within the Dacia Spring and also how good quality it is. I particularly like the upgraded seats that you get in this Extreme trim. They're in a mix of contrasting imitation leather, and you've also got the gold stitching and the Dacia logo embossed on them. You also have this really nice dappled fabric along the centre. These feel super high quality and they feel like they belong in a car that is much more expensive. I also love the touchscreen. Now you do have to upgrade to this Extreme trim to get a touchscreen, but when you do, you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and also it feels pretty high tech for this class of car. All versions get USB-C charging as well as 12-volt chargers. You also have plenty of space. You see, there's no need for a transmission tunnel, so you have loads of space between you and the driver, so it doesn't feel as small as this car actually is from the outside. Of course, you are going to find cheaper plastics within the cabin. They're trimmed on the dashboard and also on the doors. But Dacia have used different colours and textures to make these plastics feel a little bit more interesting and a little bit more exciting. I certainly don't think that this feels like a cheap car. The first generation Dacia Spring that we never received within the UK didn't have the best feedback when it came to safety. It was lacking in some major safety systems. However, this latest generation, which will be arriving in the UK, is fitted with far more systems. You have anti-collision warning, traffic sign recognition, and you now get speed alerts. If you find these systems a little bit intrusive from time to time, then Dacia has an answer to this. Simply go into driver assistance and then you can choose a personal setting in which you can turn off the functions that you don't particularly want within your car. Then every time you get into your Dacia Spring, you simply have to press one button to turn your personal safety features on or off, which I think is really handy. All versions of the Spring are fitted with air conditioning and you get these really nice physical climate control settings. And it's not just small in size, it's also small in weight. You see, the Dacia Spring is one of the few cars, let alone electric cars, which weighs under 1 tonne. As an example, a BMW XM actually weighs 2.5 times the amount of this Dacia Spring. And that featherweight get-up is excellent for efficiency because on tests, this has been able to achieve in excess of 6 miles per kilowatt hour, which is far above any of its rivals. With the compact size, you're probably imagining a measly amount of boot space, equivalent to something like a Volkswagen Up. But actually, Dacia have managed to achieve a really impressive figure of 308 litres. That's far better than most of the cars within this class. And you can easily fit a few carry-on suitcases or a weekly shop. There's even some additional storage underneath that boot floor to hide away your charging cables. As you can imagine, for a car with that much boot space of this size, rear space is slightly impeded. Now, the Dacia Spring is only a 2-seater, although, as you'll notice, I've got a good level of headroom and a good level of legroom as well. I'm around 5'5", and I'd be perfectly happy in the back of the Spring for short journeys at least. You do get pockets on the backs of the seats, and you'll also find ISOFIX fitments on both of these outer seats. There's no extra amenities though, but then again, you're probably not going to be carrying passengers in the rear very often, so there isn't much demand for them. As I'm sure you're well aware, underneath the bonnet of an electric car lies a lot more space than you'd find in a combustion model, because of course there's no engine. So why am I showing you inside of an empty engine bay? Well, that's because I want to highlight the fact that Dacia have an accessory available, which turns this redundant space into a storage area for charging cables or perhaps your valuables. The new Dacia Spring may have a small price tag, but it has a big personality and big car tech. We're so excited that it's finally arrived in showrooms in both Ipswich and Cambridge. Of course, for now, it's left-hand drive, so we can't currently take test drives on this vehicle, but we should expect our demos to arrive around October time. So if you want to register your interest, then make sure you click the link down below and get in touch with one of our sales team. If not, if you wanted to come down and take a look for yourself, then it's sitting in both of our showrooms. We really hope you have enjoyed the video today. If you have, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. If you've enjoyed content like this and you'd like to see the latest updates from Dacia, Renault and many other brands, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. Until next time guys, see you later.